Hello, Patreon friends. Hopefully you can hear me. I have a little mic situation here just to maybe get some better audio, so we will find out. Also, I have my phone here with some notes, so if you see me looking down, looking at my phone, that's what that's about. But I'm just going to go through the month of November. Hello, we're in a new month. It's exciting. And just see what we have coming up. I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible, just so that I'm not going into a whole long little breakdown, but yeah, if I have some added information, I will throw it in there, but let's just go ahead and dive into it. So not much is happening for the first few days of the month. Mars just entered Scorpio, and that happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Let me take a look. So yeah, that happened around the 29th. So it's been there for a few days, kind of acting or adding to that forward moving motion, but maybe with more of a methodical sort of waiting to strike sort of vibe, kind of like a snake in the grass that doesn't necessarily attack right away, but it waits for the right time, or like a cat, you know, kind of stares down their prey, shakes their tail, and then attacks at the right moment in time. That's kind of what this energy of Mars and Scorpio reminds me of. But Mars is in its domicile, so it's feeling nice and comfortable in its own home and its home sign, one of them at least. And right there next to the sun. So we're having to look at how we place ourselves in the world and what actions we take and how those actions support our overall who we are, what we're doing, what our purpose is, all that good stuff. So, but moving right along, going to the 4th of November, we've got a new moon in Scorpio. So you can see that the sun right here is in conjunction with the moon. The moon is in conjunction with the sun. Right here, they're about 2 degrees off, so I can move it ahead a little bit, but see, there we go. And this new moon, and I think it's not the eclipse yet. That'll be in Taurus. But this new moon, we're looking at themes of introspection, death, depth. Oh my gosh, Depp, not Johnny Depp, even though that gives me a very Scorpio vibe, but depth, metamorphosis, emotional liberation, self-mastery, addressing habits or addictions, changes that take adjustment. And we also have this kind of counterbalancing energy of Uranus and Taurus. So maybe some unexpected circumstances, unexpected new beginnings, unexpected things that change the trajectory of what we're currently doing. And again, like I said, changes that take some adjustment. So maybe that's getting a adjustment to a new schedule that you have adopted because you have some new opportunities that have come in. Maybe that is a adjustment because of some introspection, some shadow work, some metamorphosis, emotional liberation type of work that you're doing. So being open to those themes and allowing yourself to come into this space of self-mastery and encouraging yourself not to make excuses for the growth that you know that you need to participate in, partake in, and put energy into, all that good stuff. So being mindful of that when the new moon in Scorpio comes about within the next 3 days. And let's see, we'll move right along. So on the 5th of November, Venus makes its way into Capricorn. So if you take a peek at Venus, here's Venus on the 4th. In Sagittarius, here's Venus on the 5th in Capricorn. So Venus is now in an earth sign. Excuse me. So with this, we're looking at themes of security, boundaries, tradition or traditional ways of thinking or committing, and commitments just in general. Just one thing I wanted to check, I don't know. I'll look at that later. But yeah, those are some of the things that we're looking at when Venus goes into Capricorn. And then on the same day, we have Mercury moving into Scorpio, which Mercury is right here. And if I go over a few hours, there we go. Mercury is now in Scorpio. And so with that, we have themes of soulful poetry, deep secrets, deep thoughts, things that kind of come from the depths within you. It kind of reminds me of poetry that maybe was written when you're in middle school or high school that has a lot of depth, that has a lot of deep feeling, that maybe is kind of dark. And then kind of coming back to those prose and glossing over them and seeing how you feel about them, or readdressing those issues, or doing the inner child work related to those feelings. Busy internal thoughts, expecting the worst, introspection, put inspection. It could be inspection as well. Feeling kind of like a inspectigator, or having some sort of skepticism that allows you to kind of be like a sleuth or sleuth-like when it comes to finding out information. Mystery and stories untold. Those are some different themes, which Mercury is a very communicative sign. So we see issues arising within communication. And then it is in Scorpio, which is a Mars sign. And so we're thinking about, again, those deep emotions, possibly that transformation, the action, taking action through your communication, but having it have a deeper meaning to it, that sort of thing. So yeah, kind of coming into this space where we are allowing ourselves to be rooted and grounded within our relationships, within how we approach them, within our emotions within them. Maybe relationships might feel more secure with Venus in Capricorn. Maybe there is more of a commitment being made. Possibly there are themes of looking at the relationship and kind of assessing where you want to go with it, whether that might be a more traditional route or something that is a little bit more I don't know, progressive or new or uncommon. And that could be within the things that you do together, the things that you, maybe have never done that you know that you should maybe do. Maybe that's therapy with each other or whatever the case might be, but things that make, not things that make, but things that encourage a stable foundation to continue to be built within a relationship, and maybe having to kind of reassess that. Pluto's co-present in the first, well, we see it in the first house here. It's not going to be in the first house because the house has changed, but Pluto's co-present here. And so I feel like that even kind of strengthens that theme of transformation, of deep depths, of having to figure things out and go through the muck in order to build a stronger connection. It kind of reminds me of like a movie where the main characters are a couple and they wind up in this random crazy adventure that would be really strenuous for the wrong couple, but somehow it kind of brings them together. They had to go through this whole hell and high fire or whatever the phrase is, I don't know, but they have to go through these deep depths, this phoenix sort of transformation. They literally have to set themselves on fire and then be reborn. So that might be something, some sort of theme that you might experience within relationships with Venus moving into Capricorn. And then Mercury, again, just that kind of setting your soul on fire through the words and communication that you have. Maybe you are taking more action within your communication, but also allowing yourself to allow it to come from a empathetic and emotional standpoint, not where you're overly emotional and extra about it, but where the emotions and everything are balanced. So those are some things that we might see with Mercury moving into Scorpio. Again, for everyone that will be different. I would definitely recommend looking in your chart where this falls for you. For example, if we were to turn this chart around, that would fall in my sixth house. So, something that you can do if you want to see more specifically what these themes could mean for you specifically. Let me see, making sure it's recording. All right, we're cool. So moving right along, we're going to the 9th and the 10th. All right, checking my computer battery real quick. All right, we're good for now. All right, so we have Mars square Saturn. This is happening 9th, 10th-ish. I could get it to go exact to the exact point in time where this happens, but I am just cool for now. Let's see. Oh, it's almost exact. But yeah, around the 9th, 10th-ish. And sometimes it kind of depends on your time zone as well as to when this hits, but this is Eastern Standard Time. But we're looking at themes of Mars is in Scorpio, Saturn is in Aquarius still. So we're looking at themes of hidden motives, going against the grain, plateau, and that could be even like within physical bodily things, like if you're working on a goal, you know, maybe a plateau. Inspired and impulsive action. Plateau could also refer to maybe like you continue to try to put in action and effort, etc., and it's just like feels like things aren't going quick enough. So maybe kind of like a stalemate, I suppose, in that regard. But inspired and impulsive action, releasing the need for control, overpowering, beneficial but frustrating delays. And so also, if you guys aren't a part of my Discord channel already, I definitely recommend joining. That is where I have like a little private chat for the patrons. And so I would like to build more of a community and hear more of your feedback. Because right now it's just like Patreon is just kind of like a place where you post the content. People can comment if they want to. But this is more so a space where people can post questions, share resources, share article that you felt was inspiring or reminded you of something, or maybe, you know, the reading reminded you of something and you want to post something that, you know, is in regards to that. You can post a suggestion if you have a suggestion for me that, you know, of some content you would like to see from me. And then there's also a little live channel on Discord where I will be doing some live content. So I plan in the future, and getting all my schedule and everything out right now, but in the future, occasionally doing like a Reiki share situation or a live Reiki session, live meditation, live ritual, that sort of thing. So things I have planned for the future and some other different cool things over there that I offer to anyone that wants to join the Discord. But also there are some specific little areas specifically for patrons, just like an added perk along with your subscription on Patreon, that are specifically for you guys. So that is that. But with this, again, we're seeing themes of hidden motives, maybe even a battle between tradition and the untraditional, things like that. Okay, so when I think of this relationship between Mercury, or not Mercury, Mars and Saturn, that's what I should have been talking about if I didn't already say that already. But I'm thinking of kind of impulsive action in a sense of like this kind of younger energy. It's like someone who just already has their mindset, and even though there's some wisdom that they're receiving, they just want to do what they want to do. And Saturn kind of reminds me of this energy that with Aquarius is kind of innovative, forward thinking, forward moving, but also at the same time, it's slow, methodical, and in some cases traditional. It's kind of like this energy of, if things are kind of going well already, you know, we don't really have to change much of it. But also it's this energy of, you know, we've been in these traditions and structures forever. Clearly what we've been doing for all these years is not working. Let's implement something else. Doesn't have to be a quick moving thing, but we should at least move toward it. But with it being a square, it's this relationship of, you know, getting into a group project with someone that you're not completely cool with. And it's like, I don't really want to be in a group with you. I wanted to be in a group with my best friend, but I want a good grade. I know you want a good grade. And even though we don't really vibe and don't really get along, it's probably in our best interest to just put our heads together and get through this and get this done as quick as possible. And so that's kind of like the energy of a square, where it's like, I don't really enjoy you, you don't really enjoy me, but we kind of have to work together, and we're kind of bound in this situation until we figure it out. So let's just get it done, do it as well as we can. And usually it works out really well. It could be one of those situations where things kind of come together, where you find this newfound like appreciation for this person or for this thing that you didn't really appreciate before, or didn't really vibe with before. But now you're just like, okay, you know, we did well, we worked on it, we were cordial. And now I have a newfound respect for you because now I know more about you. So that's kind of the energy that that reminds me of. But again, thinking of those key themes too, and allowing yourself to incorporate those into your life, or incorporate those into your thoughts as we move through these next few energies throughout the month. And then with this, we also have Mars conjunct Mercury, which you can see here. They are both at 6 degrees. And so we're looking at this energy of actions kind of flowing into what we say, and there being this reciprocity between them. So our actions reflect what we say, think, and do, or say and think, and then our thoughts support our actions, and we are putting equal amount of energy into both of them. But also something else I think of when I think of even Mercury square Saturn, because Mercury is square Saturn as well, I think of this energy that is kind of like non-binary, very free-flowing, open-minded, being Mercury. And then I think of Saturn being this energy that is, again, like I said, especially in Aquarius, it's more forward-thinking, thinking of the future, but it can be more traditional. It has like that older wisdom sort of vibe to it. You know, not that older people or older energies can't be free-flowing, non-binary, whatever the case might be, but it just kind of reminds me of that. You know, a boomer's mental state might not be the same as Gen Z, and that's kind of the energy that I'm thinking of here. Not necessarily having age attached to it, but each group being accustomed to something very, very different. So that's what I'm seeing for that. We've got November 11th coming up here, and this is Mercury square Saturn, which I just already kind of went into. But this is when it kind of perfects its square, since it will be right here, it's at 8 degrees, but it will be at 7 degrees when it makes it square. But we see themes of strain between the traditional and unconventional, like I was stating before, maybe possibly pessimism, doubting mental capabilities, pretentiousness, stubbornness, sarcasm. So we kind of see these themes within communication, within thoughts and mental issues, from a standpoint of maybe the shadow side, you know, where again, there's a strain between the traditional and unconventional. There is some possible doubting in your own mental capabilities and what you are able to do. Maybe you struggle with this mentality that you have been served from childhood, from family members and things who are really, really traditional, and then feeling very much different yourself. So there are those different themes that we might experience through this Mercury square Saturn transit. And then we also have Sun trine Neptune, which Neptune is down here, 20 degrees. The sun, if I move it forward a couple hours, or maybe, yeah, move it forward a bit, then it would be at 20 degrees. But for the purpose of not wanting to do that right now, we have the sun trine Neptune, which Neptune is retrograde. And here we're looking at themes of, and again, these keywords are all posted on Discord. I'm going to post them within the group as well, so you guys have them to refer back to, so you don't have to look at the video again. But we have these keywords of emotions plus identity. So how we fit and feel and navigate through that. Manifestations becoming loved or lived experience, not loved. I need to change that and repost that. Emotions that support action, purpose, vision, dreams, escapism. And when I think of Neptune, I think of like alcohol, drinking your emotions, escaping through other means that could be addictive, ego inflation, psychic expansion. And so with this, a trine is usually a very harmonious energy. But it's like this energy of becoming so engrossed into this kind of crazy intuitive feeling that we almost immerse ourselves to the point where we want to drown ourselves out with alcohol or other substances and means. Doesn't have to be addictive. It could be like, overeating or incorporating too much sugar or, unhealthy coping habits. But it also reminds me of like kind of someone who is so high on their own supply, so high on the feeling of the psychic energy and the spiritual energy within them, that they just want to be in it all the time and they want to dive head first, and then they end up drowning in it and kind of lose their sense of humanity just because they are so deeply engrossed in this world of either fantasy or of spirituality or whatever the case might be for them. So definitely this energy that is really good for supporting you in terms of your intuition, your meditative states, your dream world. If you're a big dreamer, I personally am. A lot of the messages that I receive literally come in my dreams. A lot of the things that I see play out in my life, I will see them in my dreams first. So, for me, this might be a very potent time for me to receive messages and see things in my dreams and have it play out in my actual life. If you're that type of person, this might be you, but it could be different for everybody. So moving along, November 13, we are looking at Mercury opposing Uranus, which Mercury here is opposite Uranus. They're at 12 degrees. Uranus is retrograde as well, I believe. All the little red ones are retrograde, but we are looking at maybe some unexpected thoughts, pesky thoughts coming up. It kind of reminds me of remembering things that were really embarrassing and replaying them in your mind over and over again. Instability inhibiting action. Difficulty mentally grounding in reality. Action without thought. Abrupt comments, which kind of reminds me of like maybe having no filter. You're hanging out with a bunch of people, you're at the family gathering and you're just blurting out things without thinking, or kind of reminds me of like, someone's grandparent who isn't completely as coherent as they used to be. And, or maybe they have dementia or something and they're just like, oh, you have a ring in your nose. You look like a bull. Or something like that. You're just like, yeah, all right, grandma. But they really don't have a filter just because of whatever they're going through mentally. So, we can see some themes of that nature. What did I say? Difficulty mentally grounding in reality, which that can come along with that too. It could be relative. Action without thought, abrupt comments, unexpected criticism, healing, and journeying. So again, a kind of very intuitive nature. It kind of reminds me of just laying in bed and then randomly astral projecting for the first time, or you haven't astral projected in months and years and randomly the energy is just there for it. So Uranus has this very spontaneous, abrupt, kind of like you can't predict when things are happening sort of vibe. So that's kind of where that comes from. Then we on the 15th have, so now on the 15th, we have Sun square Jupiter, which you can see Sun is still here in Scorpio. Jupiter is right down here. And they're both at 23 degrees. I don't have the exact times that these things hit listed here, but my general rule of thumb is they might hit at oh my goodness, they might hit at an exact time. But the thing is, the energy can be felt over a span of a few days. And it just kind of depends on what the planetary energy is, what the transit is, how long the transit is happening, how long the planets are making that connection. And even afterwards, that energy can still be felt, similar to like the shadow period building up. Excuse me, the shadow period building up to a Mercury retrograde. But some themes that we see here are, we can see with, what is it? We're looking at sun. So we have these themes of just, our own personal life, not on the respect of like the ascendant, which is literally us, but this is more our personality again, how we place ourselves in the world. I always think like solar plexus, your physical identity within this realm, that sort of thing. So we're looking at that and maybe the emotional kind of Marsy aspects of that, since it's in the sun is in Scorpio. Let's just check something really quick. Yep. And then with Jupiter being in Aquarius, we have those similar kind of innovative, interesting, zany themes of finances, money, expansion, growth. What is it? Justice, balance in some case. So we're kind of looking at those themes and looking at this relationship between, especially with this sort of connection. I feel like it very much has to do with your own finances, financial expansion or lack thereof, as well as your own growth and your own expansion, your own, I already said it, growth and expansion. So here you're looking at themes of, let me go back to it because I scrolled past for a second on accident. We're looking at themes of the ego, which sun energy, blocking financial growth, financial transformation, patience, using resources you don't have, but using them anyway. That could be like spending money, wanting to go on a trip and spending money you don't have that you shouldn't be using. Privilege, entitlement, inflated optimism, which we can see that with like, feeling so confident or overly confident in ourselves, but, catching ourselves in the okey doke. Choosing to flex rather than opting for practicality. So this energy also kind of reminds me of being so led and guided by your emotions. Being so led and guided and even maybe led astray by your emotions that you feel like now that you have all this abundance, a big sign of being able to, or a big way of being able to show that you are abundant is by buying things that are super expensive. And so just because you can afford them now, when I feel like it was my economics teacher, he would always tell us that some of the most rich people that even he knew, because he knew some pretty wealthy people somehow, he had a crazy story, life story. But the most wealthy people that he knew would still shop at Walmart, still shop at Target, still buy a old beater or buy a used car. And the reason why they were able to keep and maintain their wealth was because they continued to live below their means and they didn't get what they didn't need. So this is kind of an energy of feeling like, well, I'm wealthy now. I'm going to go buy a Bugatti and get myself a Dooney Burke. Do people still get those? I love them, or whatever the case might be. Dooney Burke is more affordable, I would say, but maybe like, I'm going to get myself Chanel No. 5 perfume and stock up on all the Balenciaga apparel, when really you don't have the finances to do that. Or if you continue to do that, you do have the finances, but if you continue to do that, you won't have the finances because you're not financially sound within the actions that you're making. So allowing yourself to have that awareness, don't allow your ego to kind of oversee the purchases and the decisions that you make. Make sure that there's this balance. Jupiter has a very special way of making us feel like grandiose or making us feel extravagant, similar to Venus, but it's more like go big or go home. Just buy the biggest TV. You know what? We'll finance it. And it's like, ugh, you'll be paying for that for quite some time. So That is a 15th. Be aware of that energy within yourself. On the 16th, we have Sun sextile Pluto. And so here we are. The Sun is right here. Pluto is right here in the first house in Capricorn. Again, we don't pay attention to houses and transits, but just for your own reference, there it is. So we are looking at themes of becoming comfortable with the shadow self, accepting imperfection, control, sultry sexual energy, regeneration of self, sexual confidence, yin and yang. So very much this kind of look at, this look at the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine, not putting any specific gender or roles on those energies, but just taking them as energies themselves. This balance between the moon and the sun almost, even though this is Pluto, but Pluto very much works within the deep depths of the underworld, works with the things that we're often afraid to address. And then the sun is very much like out on stage, ready for presentation, ready to speak, ready to act sort of energy. So there's this very much balance between these two worlds that are happening. But it's interesting because it's a sextile, so there's a relationship between them. So it's this energy of allowing ourselves to become comfortable with our shadows while also allowing ourselves to grow and expand as people and recognizing that we do have shadows. And again, having that comfortability with it. Sextile, there's no struggle there. There's more harmony than anything. It's a very Venus harmonious energy. Sextile is of the nature of Venus. But again, we have this yin and yang, this kind of sexual prowess sort of energy, sexual confidence. Pluto can be, or I guess Pluto could be sexual in some way. It's kind of like a grounded sort of sexual energy where it's like nothing too crazy, nothing too zany. You feel really secure within it, but also there's this element of surprise that might come about. Maybe you surprise yourself, maybe your partner or whoever surprises you. Scorpio energy, where it's like, oh, this is who you are, hidden underneath all of this energy. So we're hidden underneath or behind these doors, this is who you are. So some energy that you might see and flow through. And then on the 17th, we have Mars opposite Uranus. Here it is. Uranus is retrograde, and we might see some unexpected things pop up. Like I said, Uranus has the energy of being very unexpected. It's kind of like a jack in the box. You kind of have a feeling of when it's going to pop out. It pops out when you least expect it, and it kind of like, oh, jolts you. So, or it kind of reminds me of lightning even, which I think lightning might be related to Uranus, but it's like one of those things too, where you can maybe count how many thunders happened and try to calculate when the lightning is going to take place, but you never really know. And the lightning is just kind of like spontaneous, very much Uranus, to me at least. I have to look and see and make sure if that is, I think they're related, lightning and Uranus. And then we have this Mars energy again. Within Scorpio, Mars is feeling nice and at home within its home sign, one of them at least, but still we have this opposition. So it's like a little bit more intense than a square, where a square is like, we don't really like each other, but we gotta work together. But our opposition is like, I really don't like you. I don't want to work with you. I don't fuck with you. Like, this is just not for me. So, but we have unexpected circumstances creating delays in action, awkward phase of romantic attraction, which is kind of similar to like someone trying to play it cool, but stumbling in front of their crush, or dropping all of their books, or like leaning against the wall and then accidentally falling over after trying to strike a, cool pose, like, hey, talk to me. I'm the person that you want to be with. And then it's like, oh, I just made a fool of myself. So that kind of energy where it just kind of comes in randomly and you're like, man, this whole time I was trying to play it cool, and then Uranus just came and knocked me down. Irritable emotions, fears and worries, inspiring questionable actions, unhealthy coping mechanisms, anger, nerves, and irritability. So those last words are kind of key, especially because it's an opposition. Mars is involved. Mars is very much a planet that kind of inspires war, action. Sometimes it has to do with anger, how well or not well we manage that, our nerves, our coping mechanisms, how healthy or not healthy those might be. And so I would be extra aware of yourself during this time period, making sure that you are just keeping yourself cool, doing a little extra meditation. Things might set you off a little extra. Uranus is in Taurus, so maybe it's not as crazy as it might be. But still, there's this energy of like maybe something shaking up your stability, shaking up the ground that you walk on. Maybe all the stepping stones aren't completely even. And keeping a level head will keep you or it will help you survive this transit a whole lot more than allowing yourself to kind of have a erratic behavior just because you allowed yourself to be swept away by the waves of this transit. So being aware of that. We're going to the 18th. Venus is trine Uranus, and so we can see that here. Venus is here at 11 degrees. When it's at 12 degrees, it'll be more exact. And then there's Uranus right down here. Venus is still in Capricorn and Uranus is still in Taurus. And so it's a trine because they are in the same elements. They are both in earth signs. So this gives us a very grounded sort of energy. I would say it's a good idea to maybe do a love language that has to do with gift giving, earthy materials. Gifts are kind of an earthy sort of thing, but also, things that kind of build stability within your relationship. So maybe if your partner isn't too much big on gifts, maybe some other things that kind of are earthy related that you can incorporate that build stability and foundation within your relationship and even confidence. But with this too, you can see themes of kind of becoming attracted to someone unexpectedly, or seeing someone somewhere and just vibing with them and unexpectedly becoming really close. Kind of reminds me of being at like a hibachi restaurant and you are randomly placed to someone that you've never talked to, and just because of the nature of the situation, you're kind of forced to talk to the person next to you and you become really close. So there could be that element too, where it's another kind of unexpected attraction. But we see themes of unexpected attraction, magnetic attraction, pheromones even. So, go to Pure Romance, get your pheromone what is it, perfume, which is really cool, by the way. I went to a party a few years ago with some friends. And then I have a friend that sells Pure Romance currently, and they have, I think, about 3 perfumes that are really cool. They have something within them that kind of bring out your pheromones. And so the perfume smells literally different on everyone. On me, it smelled very tropical, kind of like mango. If you were to get like something from Bath and Body Works, it'd be something that you would find during the summer. And then my best friend, his was very woodsy, very kind of gives me like a Virgo vibe, bookstore. I don't know, but yeah, very interesting. So maybe paying attention to that or investing in something cool that kind of brings out your pheromones, which can even be good just business wise. If you have a meeting that you have to go to, spritz, put a little bit on you. People tend to feel more open, more comfortable, and might even take a liking to you more. But again, it also depends on how your pheromones mesh with someone else and all that other good stuff. So something to research. Extroverted energy, socializing can be refreshing instead of depleting, and being in good company. So I know we will be nearing Thanksgiving around this time. Maybe you'll have like a Friendsgiving or something like that, meet some people there, whatever the case might be. But it's a really harmonious, magnetic sort of energy where people can just get along, just vibe. We have a partial lunar eclipse here on the November 19th. And here is a new eclipse cycle. And so we can see, I think the next few new moons and full moons within the next year will be in Taurus and Scorpio. That's what I want to say. I know that there's a Scorpio full moon, I think in May. And I know that there are some Taurusy stuff happening with the moon too. So, but it is a beginning of a new eclipse cycle. You can see some deep or significant changes with motherly issues, a motherly figure or icon or celebrity. With this eclipse, which it's a eclipse because, and I don't know, I need to get this in the right spot, but because the moon and the sun are right next to or right on the nodes. So that's kind of what brings about that eclipse energy. But a solar eclipse often can have to do with a solar figure. Since this is a lunar eclipse, it can possibly have to do with a lunar figure. So that's why I said motherly figure, icon. You might see some surprising events. Usually eclipses kind of bring about some unexpected changes and shifts and new things, or new endings, or new things or endings. Energy that lays the foundation for the next few months. So like I was saying, this is an energy that we might experience for the next few months through the next year, especially with the moon cycles that might be coming up and the signs that the moon might be in, such as Taurus or Scorpio, which that's what I wanted to do because I think it happens earlier in the day, because this eclipse, the moon will be in Taurus. Similar to that. So you see, they're very close to the nodes, very close to the nodes. So Scorpio and Taurus, and paying attention to where those fall in your chart, where these energies might fall in your chart, what's happening in Taurus during this time for you, what's happening in Scorpio. You can go on astro.com. Programs like this tend to be quite expensive. So if something for free, go on astro.com, pull up a transit chart and see where the planets are hitting, transit wise, and then where the planets are hitting within your chart. It'll look something like this. The inner wheel will be your birth chart. Outer wheel will be the chart for that time period, that day. So I think that's everything I wanted to say about that one. Yeah, so moving to the 20th, moving to the 20th, and we're coming down to the end, yay. So the 20th, we have Mercury square Jupiter, and we can see Mercury is down here in Scorpio, square Jupiter, which is in Aquarius still. And so around this time, we can see themes that are having to do with our mental, even our emotional, because we have that Scorpio energy there. It's a water sign, but also maybe dealing with tradition, how we feel about that, and having to rewire some things within our life. Maybe having the struggle between what our mind is telling us and our impulses, or the ways that we want to grow or expand, and maybe not necessarily being able to do that the way that Jupiter would want us to, which is like, just go big, just do it all, So we see themes of thoughts of lack of confidence. We might see travel during this time. I would be, maybe plan a little bit extra, make sure that you're looking through your list a few times, making sure you have all your items. And being aware of the people on the trip. If you're going with people, know that there might be some strain, but allowing yourself to navigate through that because you already have a sense of awareness about that. Hasty travel plans leading to disappointment, over planning, or confidently under planning. And so then it's like, oh, I'm on the trip. I thought all this would be taken care of, but I didn't really do the research. And now I'm kind of got myself messed up because I didn't do the research and I just assumed that energy. What else? And decisions without reason or a informed opinion. So this is kind of like hasty decision making. Again, that kind of go big or go home sort of energy. I don't even want to research. This just sounds good. Let's just put it together. Let's just do it. Kind of going full force without much structure or organization. Kind of reminds me of someone who just wants to do it all, you know, and they're just like, oh, I just opened this business and the business is maybe not doing so well and there really isn't anyone there, and it kind of looks like the business isn't open, but they are already thinking about opening another business and doing this over here and doing this over here, but they're spreading their energy so thin that they are neglecting the things that need their attention. And so, you know, the projects suffer because they're not really pouring into them. You know, it's not like a plant, you just buy it and you set it on the windowsill and leave it there to live on its own. You have to feed it, you have to nurture it, you have to provide for it. You have to continue to water it and make sure that you're giving it what it needs to continue to thrive. So, okay. The 21st, Venus sextile Mars, and Venus and Mars together is a very magnetic sort of energy. And it can be very sexual or sensual, especially with Scorpio there. It's not always, you know, it's not just like automatically like, oh, Scorpio, sexual. No, Scorpio has so many other things to offer. But with Venus and Mars, it definitely gives that vibe of deep attraction, passion, creativity, sacral chakra, womb healing, or sacral chakra healing, or root chakra healing, even, since they're very closely related and closely together, sexual healing, that sort of thing. So those are some themes that you might notice and pay attention to. Sextile is a harmonious aspect. It is of the nature of Venus, so that extra added Venus love and energy. Checking one thing. Yeah, so paying attention to that energy and using it to your advantage. If there's someone you've been wanting to talk to, or if you've been trying to reignite sparks within your relationship or whatever, this could be a really nice time to kind of add some romance and be more active within your romantic life and put more action toward building that energy within the relationship that is fiery or passionate. And the sun moves into Sagittarius on this day. Might be later in the day. But here we see travel, the sense of rebellion, but also kind of wise sort of energy. Here you go, see it right, moved right in there, right at the very end of the day on the 21st, right before the next day. But yeah, Sagittarius kind of has this energy where it's like, I just want to travel. I want to be spontaneous. I want to do all these things. I want to go over here. I want to go over there. I want to just be inspired. And then, you know, it can have this very kind of immature, hasty sort of energy, want to be everywhere, but also at the same time, they can be kind of sage-like in a weird way where it's just kind of like, but also at the same time, like I recognize that these things matter and I need to create stability in this area in my life. And I need to make sure that this is happening for me through this. And I need to make sure that I get the knowledge and education necessary to embark on this journey. You know, it's like this kind of inner child play where it's like your inner child is like, but let's do this. This sounds so much fun. And then it's like, this older, wiser energy within you that's like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool, but let us rework some things. So that is the 21st. 24th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius as well to join the sun. I'm not going to go too much into that, but there we go. I meant the 24th. I don't know if I said that. But you can see some of those similar themes. And this can deal with things that are mental. So kind of gives me like a travel blogging sort of vibe, or communication through travel, or communicating about travel plans, or even learning, you know, deeper expansion within your own learning. Mercury is in its adversity here, so maybe there is a struggle to keep focus when it comes to learning and when it comes to themes surrounding around knowledge. And you know, maybe if you're taking a class or something, you might feel antsy around this time. I don't know, it's close to Thanksgiving, but you might feel antsy around this time to maybe get out of school or to get a project done, or maybe you have homework over Thanksgiving break and you can't really focus on it because there are so many other fun things going on. So not a super mentally induced moment in time, or you know, moment in time for the time that Mercury is in this sign, but there's still kind of like this lively, inspired, looking and searching for new information energy nonetheless. It might just kind of be scatterbrained in some ways. So then the 30th, Mercury sextile Saturn. So we see themes of thoughts supporting tradition. So that could be like things that you were raised on, creating new tradition within new thought forms that you have, or new ways of thinking. Support within career or personal marketplace. So that could be like support within your career or support within your own business, your online shop. If you're a vendor or vending, you might have some support there. Meshing the tried and true and the innovative. So again, we have this energy of where Mercury was maybe not vibing with Saturn so much earlier in the month. Now Mercury and Saturn are getting along in a much better way, a way that's more harmonious and kind of inspires each other. Mercury's inspired by Saturn, Saturn is inspired by Mercury, and there is this meshing of the things that are tried and true, that might be traditional, and the new methods that seem to really, really work well. So it's kind of like this combination between, like, before it was like, I don't like your point of view, and you, that's just too new of thinking. And now it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, we can keep doing this way because this has really, really worked, and I think it will continue to work. But let's incorporate this new thought and idea that you just came up with and see how these mesh together. So that's kind of the energy here. So practical thinking, planned and wise forward movement, checks and balances, pros and cons, steady and slow growth, steady understanding and learning without rushing. So those are some of the themes there too, where it's like we have this Saturn energy to balance us out and remind us to slow down, whereas Mercury wants to kind of move fast sometimes. Sometimes it's all over the place. Sometimes it's like, let's do both. Let's do them both and let's go forward and let's do this over here. And Saturn kind of comes in to say like, hey, I did that. I've tried that. You know, you might think that's new, but let me tell you that that's probably not going to work. What we can do is move slowly, incorporate these new ideas, and see how they flourish over time, rather than trying to incorporate everything at once and finding ourselves overwhelmed. And then Mars trine Neptune. Here's Neptune down here. Here's Mars up here. Mars earlier in the day will be at 20 degrees. Neptune is retrograde. And so this has themes of efforts being born out of raw emotions, somehow just knowing the next steps, desire to escape, but instead spiraling back into old habits, and expression, how we express, and healthy ways of expressing emotions, expressing what we feel through our actions, actions that are healthy, that are supportive of our growth, etc., things of that nature. So yeah, that is our month of November. I'm gonna just cut it off here. Those are some of the key dates that we'll see. And I mean, naturally a longer video because there's a lot going on this month. And I think December is supposed to be a pretty busy month as well. So we'll take a peek at that. But if you have any insights, if throughout the month you notice anything crazy, drop it in the comments. You guys have a little personal channel on Discord. So, you know, start a little Discord chat about it, and people can respond if they want to. But yeah, hope you have an amazing November. For last month, if you are in the solar silver bracket, and you would receive a sticker, in that case a free sticker, they are on the way. I got the notification, so as soon as they get to me, I will be shipping them out to you guys. some of you I can deliver to though, so I'll deliver to who I can deliver to and get those to you guys. But yeah, hope you have a great November.